Okay, one last task to finish off this particular lesson, and if we go back to one of our earlier modules and we go and get the activities, I'm just going to use the one from module 14 to demonstrate this. If we click on send, then there's no major problems. We do get the activities back along with the list of attendees, but the only thing is that we're sending back the photos array. Well, we're not actually sending back the photos because we never included the photos with the attendee objects that we're sending back, or the profile object that we're sending back here. So even though we've got Bob's profile here, we're not actually sending the image or the photos back here. Now we do want to send back the image, their main image for this, but we don't want to send back the photos. We just want to keep this to the 4 properties here. And to do this, what we'll do is we'll just create an attendee DTO and configure the mapping for that, instead of sending back a profile object. And this is just going to keep things a bit cleaner in what we're returning. So we'll head back to VS Code, and what we'll do is we'll just go back to our activities folder this time inside the application project. And what we'll do is we'll just create a new class called attendee DTO, and inside here, let's just go back to our profile class. And we're just going to get these 4 properties, everything apart from the photos collection, and we'll just paste this into our attendee DTO. And then what we'll do, we'll go to our activity DTO, and instead of returning a collection of profiles, we'll return a collection of attendee objects, or attendee DTOs. And then we can go to our mapping profiles. And all we need to do here is, instead of going from activity attendee to the profile, we'll go from activity attendee to the attendee DTO. Now all of these configurations can stay exactly the same, but what we also need is the image, so we'll set this at the same time. And what we can do to engage lazy mode is literally just copy this line and paste it in here. And we just need to make a small change because we're going from our activity attendee. We need to go via our app user and then photos. And we don't need to make any other changes because in all of our handlers we're returning either a list of activities or an activity itself. And we don't directly return our attendee DTO anywhere else. So if we go take a look and let's just click on send once again. Now what we can see here is that for our attendees, the photos collection has gone, or at least the photos property, but each one that has an image should have their main image being returned with our activities now, and that does appear to be the case. And there's one other bit of cleanup we need to do as well. If we log in, for example, as Bob, then we also need to return the image at this point as well. So what we'll do, we'll go back and let's clean up all of the elements at the top. And we'll go to our account controller, where we're returning the user object. And what we'll do, inside here, we'll go down to our create user object method, and we need to update this property. So what we'll do, we'll say user.photos, and we'll say first or default, and we'll bring in system.link, and we'll say x goes to x.is main, and then .url. And we'll add the optional chaining operator there because we may not have any photos for this user. So we'll do the same for the user and photos as well. So we'll just add a bit of extra safety there so that if we don't have a photos collection, then we're simply going to return null for the image as per usual. And adding these question marks should keep us safe from getting an error when we're trying to return the image. What we also need to do is include eagerly load the photos when we want to return a user DTO with an image. And we don't need to worry about the register method because they're not going to have an image at this point anyway, but we do need to do that for our login method. Now, there's no way to include or eagerly load if we're using one of the user manager's find by methods. Simply no way to do it this way. So what we'll do is instead of using find by email async, we'll go to our user manager.users, and then we can use include. and we'll say p goes to p.photos. And then we can say first or default async. So we'll say x goes to x.email equal to the login DTO.email for the login. And that way we should have the photo available to return after a user logs in. And we also need to do the same for the current user method as well. So what we're doing here is we're getting the email from the user's claim. And what we need to do for this one is just the same, except we're going to get the email from the claim types. So we'll specify usermanager.users.include, and then we'll say p goes to p.photos, and then we'll use the first or default async method, and then we'll say x goes to x.email, that's equal to the user find first value, and then claims types and email. So with this in place, we should be able to go and test our login and get current user methods. So let's go back to Postman once again. Just going to clean all these tabs at the top. And first of all, let's just log in as Bob and save the token to the environment. And this time we get the image back, which is good. And if we click on Get Current User and make sure we're sending it the token and click on Send, then we get the image back for Bob as well. Perfect. And this is as far as we're going with this section. We just wanted to focus on the API here. And we've now got what we need in place to be able to do this on the client in the next section. So since we're finished, what we'll do is we'll go and save our changes into source control. So I'm going to stage these changes. I'll say end of section 16 in this case, and then go ahead and push these on up to GitHub. And we will wrap up with a summary.